Tommy TK Krash. TK is a former member of Britny Fox and has joined with former members of Judas Priest, American Sugar Bitch, Death, to form Leviathan Project. They're set to release a 6-song EP on cassette called It's Their World on June 25th. I have to repeat that, man. 6-song cassette. It's the elephant in the room. We got to start there. A cassette. How cool is that, man? I hear that and I think back in the day, man, this is doing it for the love of it. It's a retro thing. What was the decision to come up with the cassette first?
Well, the decision was that the label wanted to try something different from, I guess, a rollout or a marketing standpoint. So we're doing an EP now that came out about a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago on Friday. We're doing a second EP coming out in July, and then we're doing the full release CD coming out the next month after that, August. So they initially proposed just doing digital EPs. And I thought, I'm an older guy, I thought digital is really boring to me. Streaming, I'm not a big fan of it. I understand it, but I don't really like it. So right. I suggested, oh, shoot. All right, how's that?
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, so I suggested, I'm just going to have to hold this thing. I suggested a cassette because it is something different. It's fairly inexpensive, and without this music being tested, it's not going to put anyone in the whole thousands of dollars if it doesn't work. And yeah, just basically because I don't like streaming. I love it. Yeah, and I grew up on cassettes. That's my age group. So
yeah. Mine. I'm an old school guy like that. I love to hold things in my hand, read the credits, all those liner notes. It's a beautiful thing that's lost on streaming. And like yourself, I get it, but I miss it. So this is an opportunity for guys like myself, and I think a lot of the newer generation buying vinyl a little more, getting the artwork or getting the credits and the liner notes. It's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah, it's something you can hold in your hand, and I did on our website. I've been updating and putting liner notes on our website. So for instance, there's a page that has It's Their World EP, and it's got, who played on every song, what person played, who wrote it. It's got lyrics to a couple songs up there. So because I do like that stuff too. And I think that, you guys like it too.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's important. We hear the songs and then it ends there a lot of times now. And,
yeah.
I want to know who produced it. I want to know who played on it. I want to give credit where credit is due. And, it's great that you're doing that for sure.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. How did this thing come together? I think you did the whole thing, right? From beginning to end.
Pretty much. Yeah. I was just fooling around in my studio one day with some new guitar stuff. And, I was just playing in the style of like old 80s thrash, and so I was using some of my new stuff to try to replicate that sound. And then out of that sound came a riff, and then out of that riff came the song Leviathan. So I toyed around with that song for months and months. I'd go away from it for a while, come back to it. Eventually it sounded pretty good. I'm like, I need a singer for this. So I had a couple guys in mind, and I was talking to my friend, Chris Aiken. He's on the Classic Metal Show. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, why don't you give Ripper a call? I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know him. He wasn't in my wheelhouse of people I was thinking of, but I'm like, sure, I'll give him a call. And
who were you thinking of? Not to interrupt you, but what kind of voice were you thinking of initially?
Initially, I was thinking of two guys. There's this guy named Ski. He was in a band called Deadly Blessing. Mm-hmm. He's from the South Jersey, Philadelphia area, and they had a record out back in like the late 80s, I think. And there's also another guy named Alan Tecchio, which was in a band called Hades. So they're New Jersey lesser known bands. And I guess the kind of voice was like a Death Angel, like not quite as melodic, not really screamy, a cleaner kind of voice.
Right.
Yeah. But when Tim said, you try a track, and he sent me everything, I didn't really know what to expect, because I know his story. I know, like everyone does, but I don't really know his catalog.
Right.
And then Bobby, our guitar player, the guy who was in Death, for an album and a tour, he was recommended to me by a friend, a non-music friend. He just happens to live in the same town I live in. And I knew I wanted a guitar player to play in the vein of old Shrapnel Records type shredding style. So I always knew Bobby was a good fit. He's been in my brain for about 10 years, but just never had anything where I'm like, hey, I need to call him up. So, and then Matt, who you mentioned from American Sugar Bitch, which you've obviously done your research. When I contacted Tim's like, all right, do you have a melody or lyrics written? I'm like, oh, no, that's one thing I forgot to do. So I cobbled in. This is the way the process works on most of the songs. I cobble something together, some lyrics and melodies. Then Matt takes them, because Matt sings really, really good. Matt takes them and he does a demo. He rewrites it. He adds some melody, and then we send it off to Tim, and then Tim does his thing with it. So by the time it gets to Tim, it's like it's ready to go. With the exception of one song on this, Tim wrote the lyrics and vocals on it.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Matt's role, on the one sheet, on the press release, I have producer. Did Matt produce the record? And what more of a role did he have? Other than doing the vocal on the demo and stuff like that.
Yeah, when it says producer for Matt, what that actually means is that's, his background, whereas Tim's got a background that we would know. Matt, if you knew him from the Philadelphia scene, he more or less produces, bands and demos and and stuff like that. On this role, in this band, he came in as basically a ghost singer for the songs, a co-writer of melody and lyrics. And after the first two songs we did, I had him start playing bass, because he's a multi-instrumentalist. And I wanted some different flavor, I didn't want to do it all myself forever. And then on our second EP that's coming out, Matt's done some lead guitar work in addition to Bobby, or next to him. And Matt's a guy, I'll do mixes of the songs and I'll email him. I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And Matt will just say, what, the bass is too muddy or the snare drum's too high. It's just an extra ear. He's kind of, kind of like a right-hand guy. It's really, really wonderful to have in the band.
Yeah, it's multi-talented. It's really a benefit to have a guy like that, I think. To bounce things off of, and that ear. Who played drums on this record? I don't see a credit for drums. Did you do the drums?
No, the drums was actually just a friend of mine, a local guy, that doesn't really want to be credited. His name is George. And, he's a guy with a totally straight-laced real job. And, I'd go over there and mic his drums up and throw them back into my computer and put samples on top of them, make them sound good. So, because the thought of this isn't a live. Well, initially it wasn't a live project that we were thinking of, but of course it's morphing into something bigger. I never intended to do more than one song or have anybody with a name sing on it or play on it.
Yeah, it sounds tremendous. You put it on and drums sound great. Bobby, of course, his playing is so expressive. Just a great player. It's really, really cool. Now you have Tim Ripper Owens, so we all know from Judas Priest, singing with Judas Priest. He's got that Priest sound. Were you ever concerned that it may sound too much like Priest?
No, I didn't know what it would sound like. Like I said, I wasn't terribly familiar with Tim's voice, although I've heard him in Iced Earth, and kind of in Priest in passing, maybe walking by the TV in the 90s or whatever.
Right.
And I noticed that he sounded different in Iced Earth than he did in Judas Priest. So I didn't know what to expect. And he kind of came up with his a very unique voice for this, and he's kept it consistent throughout all of our songs. So it's cool because he's oh my God, he can sing low, he can sing high, he can have the screams, he can sing clean, he can sing gritty. I mean, he sounds like a serpent on some of these songs. It's just, it's pretty sick. I mean, and I think one of the things that helped initially is that with Matt writing these really great melodies, a lot of the stuff I did, because I went back and listened to Tim's stuff after a while to see, what he's been doing. A lot of the stuff he screams, it's metal, it's very, very aggressive and very metal. And this stuff I think is a bit more melodic than some of the stuff I think he's done recently.
Yeah.
I
would agree.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. You have him on there as a guest vocalist. That would lead me to believe that this is kind of a one-off thing. Is Leviathan Project a one-off thing, or is it a band will we see more after this, perhaps?
Well, like I said, we're doing the next EP, a next wave of songs, and then a full album. And Tim will probably be on his way with KK's Priest for a while.
Right.
Bobby's always around. I will keep doing this. So I don't want it to be a revolving door. I think when people, hear this, you get used to a sound, especially a singer. We know that.
Right.
So I don't see a reason why Tim wouldn't want to continue doing it. As far as shows, I talked to him as early as yesterday about that. And he's, and the guest singer thing too, that was a way he wanted us to phrase it, because he's committed to KK's Priest. And also if you look at his, any social media, it's Tim Ripper Owens of this band, and that band. He's like, I'm already a part of too many bands. He's like, so if you can just bill it as guest vocalist. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's cool. It's something that's mine basically that I put together. And yeah, I could get another singer, I suppose, but I like the way it's going now. It works really easy. He's easy to work with.
Yeah. He's been doing it quite a while now. He's a pro. That's always beneficial to any project, for sure. The writing process, you wrote all of these like that and bounced them off of Matt and stuff like that. Any outside writer or anything like that, or are all of these like that?
It all starts with me, and pretty much before I send it to Matt, I will have already done 7 mixes of it. Wow. I like to I don't want people to hear my garbage, even people I'm collaborating with. So so it goes with me, it goes to Matt for melody and lyric ideas, it comes back to me, we talk about it, we tweak it, and then it goes to Tim and Bobby. But like I said, that song, It's Their World, Tim took the music to that, and he wrote all the melody. He wrote everything, the melody and lyrics. I mean, with Tim, he's a busy guy, hence being a guest vocalist. So, it's not like he's got hours on hours to sit there and be part of a 5th or 6th project. So I get that.
Right. Yeah. And when this hit my desk, I thought, wow, how's he finding time for this? In addition to what he's doing already. And then, I expected because of that, I kind of expected maybe something that sounded a little rushed. It does not. It's very, very legitimate, well-produced, technically sound. Musicianship is great. And it sounds impassioned. Nobody's phoning it in, which was great to hear. Really cool. You have 3 instrumental tracks on the album that are, very atmospheric, almost like a film score, which really creates a cool mood for the album. Did you have a specific purpose? Are they meant to be intros to a couple of those songs there? And have you thought about film scoring and stuff like that? Because they're really effective.
They're meant to be probably more of standalone pieces. I'm really into a genre of music called New Age music. If you're not familiar with it, you might look it up. And I also like black metal. I like the atmospheric part of black metal a lot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the label heard him. Charlie at the label heard him, and suggested they'd be good tie-ins, and not only set the mood for the tracks, but also if you're doing digital, you can make a playlist and just listen to the 3 heavy tracks or listen to the 3 instrumental tracks. So I would love to take those instrumentals at some point and put all of them together and record more and put out just an album kind of in that vein.
Yeah.
Because I like that. So if it's a very rainy night, winter, or either hot desert, it's definitely a night type vibe for me. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a metal Kitaro kind of thing.
Okay, so Kitaro. That's exactly when I say new age. Talking
right.
him, Andres Vollenweider, those kind of guys. All right, awesome. Most metal guys, or a lot of us, don't know that, so that's why I didn't even bring it up really.
Yeah, this room's full of everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, it makes my world go round. All kinds of sounds. So yeah, I can appreciate that for sure. That's why I really enjoyed those instrumental pieces. A lot of I would imagine a lot of people people with closed minds, or that just like the heavier stuff, might call it like a filler. But it's I don't see that. I appreciated each of those very much. So I would love to hear an album like that, and or like I say, a film score. Have you ever thought about film?
No. I don't. At this age, at this point in my life, I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to be I have a real job, so I don't need to be anyone's bitch for music.
Right. There you go. Amen to that, brother.
Yeah.
Now, what does your deal look like with Deco? How many records are you signed on for? Or, is it just the one now? And how's that going? I know that can be a difficult thing, especially now. Not everybody wants to dump a whole bunch of money into stuff, and what's that look like overall for you?
It's basically they're licensing 12 songs from me.
Okay.
And like I said, we're splitting it over a 3-month release cycle. And then we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that a lot of labels I talked to were hesitant because I couldn't guarantee live shows. Right. So we'll see. Like I said, we're committed to that. I would love if this new age piece comes together. I would love it if they'd be interested in packaging and putting that together, because they're into different ideas from the artist. So like I brought up the cassette, they're like, cool. And they looked into it like, all right, let's do it. I'm thinking about, I haven't even told them about this, but I'm thinking for the CD, it would be really cool to do a limited edition long box version.
Yeah. I remember that well. Yeah. Boy, I haven't seen one of those in years, much like a cassette. How about an 8-track?
I have one right here if I can pull it off.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's a Winter Solstice Volume 3. So
very cool.
More of that new age stuff. But so I mean, Deco's run by guys in the business. For instance, our A&R guy, he's the keyboard player in the band Angel now.
Oh, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. Angel, one of my favorite bands ever. Yeah, love them.
Yeah, so there's, honestly, between him, it's very little dialogue. Between anyone on this project, there's not a lot of talking. It's just, hey, here's what we need from each other, and it gets done. It's like, there's actually adults involved, so that's nice.
Yeah, boy, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's not always the case.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, Charlie's a busy guy too. I know they have a new record coming out soon. He's got his hands full too. All pros though, and that's pretty great to have on a project, any project.
Yeah.
So with the tour, I know all the labels want you to go out and play. Do you have is that a desire for you? Or will we see you on tour?
Tour, I would never say never, but I'd say pretty damn good chance no, because at this point in my life, I don't want to get in a van and do a crappy tour ever in my life.
Right.
And you know, Decco's an independent label, so our reach is only going to be so far. The pockets are only so deep, and you know, I understand that. Shows would be cool to maybe do some festivals, or I'd been talking to a few people in the Northeast about doing a couple shows. I know Tim is committed, you know, he's told me for a while for KK's Priests. But again, I'm in no hurry. I mean, it's, you know, I don't care. It's fine with me. Yeah. And that's a good thing about this project, is that I'm not rushing anything. It's fine.
Yep. And it's great to hear music, and you know, good, solid, professional, well done music. And you know, I appreciate you for sure for doing that.
Thank you.
I would love to see you guys play, obviously. That would be great too. But you know, hey, we all get it, for sure.
Yeah.
Will we see all the, I know you know, you're not a big fan of streaming and everything. Are we going to see this eventually on, you know, maybe vinyl, CD with the long box, maybe, on the streaming platforms?
Oh yeah, I mean, this EP's on every streaming platform now. It's just what we do, and it's not that I hate it. It's just, I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is. Right. Everything will be on streaming. This first EP is only, I think, 100 cassettes. So when they're done, they're done. The second EP will be streaming only, so I don't think we're doing cassettes for that.
Okay.
And then in August, I think we were saying August or September for the CD. I can't remember, because you know, I'm busy getting everything ready for the second EP. Actually, I just finished everything. So but we'll do CD for that. And you know, vinyl is very costly. I suppose if you know, because with us not touring, it's hard to move units.
Right.
You know,
right.
If this does really well and there's a demand for it, you know, yeah, it'd be cool to see on vinyl. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But to see if you guys buy it and like it, then yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get the word out, definitely. And you know, it's great. You're comfortable with all of this. You seem very confident and comfortable in your skin, and you're happy with making music, and it's not a complicated thing with a bunch of responsibility. And that's great, man. I love to see that. You know, Tommy, stay happy, man. Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll get the word out as best I can. We'll keep everybody up to date with all the releases during the year.
All right, cool. Yeah. Send me the links and I'll put them on our social and drive people to you, and
fantastic.
You know, we'll work on it together.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Tommy.
Scott.
Thanks, bud.
All right,
bye-bye.